Welcome to Talking Insights. I'm your host, António, and today we have a very special episode about a type of tech that we don't usually mention on the show. As you can see on the title, it's AR. It's augmented reality. And with us today, we have Takeshi Tawarada. He's the research and insights leads, augmented reality and attention at Snap. Thank you very much for being here, Tak.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to be here. I love AR, and so anytime and anywhere I can talk about it, I'm happy to do it.
I know that you have like a bunch of expertise. You were previously from working on at Snap Inc. You were a marketing science partner. You worked in entertainment, tech, social media, a lot of things. But now you're kind of more working on the augmented reality side of the technology. And I wanted to start by asking if you can explain me and everyone in the audience, how can augmented reality transform the marketing, usual marketing, and how we see it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you mentioned that AR is a little bit novel in your show, so maybe I can quickly begin with what AR is. Quite simply, augmented reality is a digital layer that enhances the real world around us. So, using technologies like camera vision and machine learning, we're able to take real world inputs and overlay additional layers on top what we're already seeing through the camera. So for us at Snap, lenses are our main AR experience, where users open up the Snapchat camera and can use the lenses to do a variety of things. We might be traditionally known for some very silly ones, like vomiting rainbows and dancing hot dogs, but our tech has advanced quite a bit since our early days. Now you can use it to see what you might look like when you're old, or when you were a baby, or if you were the opposite gender. We've also started to integrate AR with generative AI experiences to create some pretty uncanny outputs of you maybe looking like a star athlete or an astronaut on the moon. But getting to your actual question of the traditional forms of marketing where you're delivering some kind of media to other people, there's actually this unmeasured and underrated portion of marketing called word of mouth. You might have heard about it. But in terms of word of mouth, people are sharing these AR experiences because they're so innovative, they're so integrative, they're so immersive in the experiences. So when we see brands use AR, we're actually seeing them for pretty traditional commerce applications like product visualizations and try on experiences. For example, being able to see how furniture would look inside your house, different shades of lipstick, different hats, glasses, shoes, you name it, and all with the ability to be able to instantly share that experience with your friends and family, maybe get some feedback from them, or maybe even be proud of showing off a specific look that you might have been able to try on. But ultimately, augmented reality is transforming this type of marketing by making it a lot more dynamic and interactive and ultimately more shareable, especially with traditional word of mouth often relying on verbal recommendations and personal experiences that are shared offline. AR is transforming that because consumers now have the ability to have these unique branded experiences that can be easily shared and shared digitally across their entire network instantly and en masse.
That's so cool and so interesting. I was hearing you talk and I was thinking about like when I was in college, like, I don't know, 15 years ago. I remember one of the group projects that we had was to come up with like a new thing that you see that's going to grow up in the future. And one of the things that I said was, I just want to have like something on my phone that I can like every day just look myself in the mirror and see like all my clothes. And this was like I don't know, the 16-year-old me or a 17-year-old me. I was like, I want this. And then I completely forgot about it. And then I was hearing you talking. I was like, we're so close to this, right? We're so close to just waking up in the morning and selecting my clothes on a digital kind of mirror or in my phone or glasses or whatever.
I completely agree with you. We also have these things called like AR mirrors where you stand in front of it and you're able to have these AR experiences in a more like a mirror-like experiences versus having to hold up the phone. And like yourself, I've always imagined a world filled with future tech that helps us kind of augment the everyday lives and experiences. So I'm like a big sci-fi movie fan. So you can kind of guess where all of my influences come from.
Absolutely. When we first started talking about this, you created this article for Research World, which was based on a study that you did with your colleague Heather Hoshea, and the study is called Measuring the Joy, something like that. It was a recent study that you did for Snap Inc. I was gonna ask if you have some surprising findings that you had from that research. Like, what was like the most surprising thing that you come up with?
Yeah, sure. Maybe I can start with more of like a landscape view of what the marketing world looks like and also the current vibe of our world outside of marketing. We know that at least within the world of advertising, the role that marketers are playing is more and more focused on the idea of DR, the ability to be able to drive these cost-effective conversions measured through last touch attribution. And I feel like that's taken away from the magic that's made advertising so special over the past 30, 40 years, ever since the Mad Men days. Brands have moved away from storytelling and developing conversation starting creatives to cookie cutter ads on placements that will make their performance numbers measured through a very flawed methodology, quote unquote, look good. So for me, the most surprising finding was around the synergy that brands can get from being the vehicle that spread joy and happiness amongst consumers, especially in a time and world that needs it the most. In our study, we found overwhelmingly that consumers share content online, just general content online, because they want to make social and emotional connections with each other, especially to be able to spread joy. And we saw that when AR was built to do so, it was also a key and primary leading indicator in driving brand lift performance.
So I can imagine that the fact that you have these kind of uh, new technologies will kind of lead for the consumers to be more product aware, right? Even when they're purchasing the new items, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually are seeing both upper and lower funnel results being very positive for AR. What's interesting about lower funnel results is that there's a variety of ways to measure it, and where we're seeing AR lead in terms of different types of measurement is with MMM, with MTA. We're also seeing sales lift studies go well. But to your original question about product awareness, yes, it also does strengthen those types of metrics in addition to things like consideration, favorability, as well as stated purchase intent. And I believe that's because the experience of AR strengthens the associative network and increases the number of nodes related to a brand or product within someone's brain. So memories work because they have so many different associations, and we're able to retrieve those specific memories a lot easier when more nodes are built within that network. Marketers, I think, have a concept called category entry points. So it's a similar concept. With AR being able to enhance product visualization and create try-on experiences, it also provides interactivity. It also garners a lot of attention. And ultimately, the thing that I was speaking to earlier around facilitating a more shareable shopping experiences. All of these create a ton of synergy with traditional video campaigns that you might be consuming on a daily basis. And there's additional nodes within that network being created. It's not just the video that you associate with a specific brand or product, but it's also the interactivity that you got. It's also the fun that you got. It's also the brand advocacy that you were able to promote and sharing that experience, ultimately creating new associations with a particular brand or product and making that brand or product much easier to retrieve from memory when it's needed.
Yeah, I can imagine like even for me like when I'm at the supermarket, if I have like something that's interactive, or and I say supermarket because that's something that I do every day, but if we use like all the other brands that we use for online shopping, if something is interactive, if I can have an experience, I feel like I'm more pushed to purchase that than just something that I have to collect from memory. And that
Yeah.
I think that comes from even the emotional engagement that you have with the product. How does AR enhance this emotional engagement, especially when it comes to the other types of digital content?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I can go back to your point about being able to shop at a supermarket. I don't know if you all have Costco's in your local area.
We don't, but
Uh,
I know
I,
what it is.
you know what it is.
I do.
Costco's the superstore. It's like a wholesale superstore that normal consumers like us can go to and get wholesale prices for specific products. And very often there are going to be live standees, people representing specific products or services that are there to create a showcase of that specific product. So, for example, a food product, they might give out samples or tasters, or maybe a vacuum product might have an experience where you're seeing the vac in action. All of these creates a lot more immersiveness and interactivity with the products themselves than seeing the boxes on the shelves. We believe that AR is very similar to that. It enhances emotional engagements compared to other forms of digital content where you're passively consuming through its interactivity of its immersiveness and the novelty factor. So unlike the passive forms of digital content where you're just kind of sitting back, leaning back, looking at static images or even videos, AR requires you to engage and have active participation from that user. This interaction creates a more personal and more engaging experience that leads to those stronger emotional connections. And going back to the mention of nodes earlier, it creates additional nodes within that memory network for a specific brand or product. And users ultimately feel like they're part of the brand story or the experience that they're trying to showcase to you. And we're also seeing that AR is always evolving. And the novelty that can generate excitement and surprise is also leading to this idea of joy for our users. And what we're also seeing finally is that AR lenses and filters, they allow users to express themselves in a very creative way and be able to share their unique perspectives in a way that they can't with traditional video. And we believe that this sense of empowerment and creative expression can lead to more positive and emotional feelings associated with the brand.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like having like a different billboard in front of you when you're walking down the street or when you're shopping. I mean, that's brilliant. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a lot of commitment for consumers to like be a billboard. You know, you really need to develop that sense of trust in order to have some kind of brand logo in your face here or up here when you're sharing out that experience to your friends and family. So it really means a lot when they do end up sharing.
Yeah. And it was interesting you mentioning the creator side because that even like the digital creators and everything, even if they're not exactly selling you something at the or at that immediately, I feel like it's a tool that they can use for their own sake and their own content, right? It's a new possibility. The filters, everything else. There's a whole new world that not only brands but also the creators can use, and I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to ask about more on the marketeer side and everyone on the client side. How can they leverage AR to create this immersive, shareable experience that's kind of resonate with the customers? How can they, you know, bring this to the table? Because I also feel like in some of those old school brands, they still see these new technologies as something that sometimes it's either expensive or it has like a huge gap to, to understand how it works. So how can marketeers understand it?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the ultimate thing that marketers should really focus on is finding a way for their brand to become a part of their consumers' everyday conversations, as well as thinking about providing some kind of utilitarian or entertainment experience, because those are the things that consumers actually want to share with their close friends and family, especially when it comes to AR. So there's some pretty obvious ways that brands can leverage it, like creating those try-on experiences or product visualization experiences. And I think those are the things that brands are thinking that it's very hard to create because you need to create 3D models, you need to have people experience in doing so, and the development process looks a lot different than a simple video campaign. But they can actually go beyond those types of commerce applications. For example, they can design an AR experience that prompts a conversation or interaction amongst their consumers. Like we recently saw a retail brand and apparel brand working with us over the holiday season came up with a super simple experience that allows our Snapchatters to come up with gift lists for their close friends and family during the holiday season. We've also seen brands leverage AR to help our community create entertaining content, like turning your head into a taco. I don't know if you've ever seen the viral potato AR experience where someone just
Yeah.
became a potato during a webinar or like a teacher education session or something. Or there was one other one on the news where an employee of a company turned themselves into a cat and just didn't know how to turn themselves back. All of these sorts of fun and super simple experiences where you literally just need a 2D image and you're able to create an easy templated version of you being a potato or a cat. More brand related, you can create character immersion experiences so that you become someone in the story of an asset or an IP that you're making. But we're also finding that the alignment of an AR activation to cultural moments or passions is another way to get very creative juices flowing for brands. For example, we've seen some brands take part in our Super Bowl activations and turn their consumers into super fans of the teams that are playing in the game. We're also seeing brands create an experience that helps like consumers share their support for causes like Pride Month. Ultimately, brands really shouldn't be thinking about AR as this complex and unwieldy format that only experts and those with unlimited marketing budgets can tap into. In fact, we actually made a variety of tools like Gen AI to help development of 3D assets and speed up that process. We've also made a ton of templates and also a lightweight lens creation web platform that makes it literally super easy for anyone to go and create an AR experience themselves. And more recently, we've also activated our AR filters experience for brands, where Snapchatters are able to take a snap themselves and then put on a filter similar to what you would see on any other platform like ours, which is all made up of just 2D assets with the ability to layer on an additional AR experience as well. And honestly, we actually encourage our brand partners to keep it simple and intuitive and fun. Because we've seen some of the biggest success with AR when our Snapchat community can just easily get it and understand
Yeah.
the value of the experience.
Wow. Well, I mean, yeah, the technology advances so much.
Yeah, that's why I've been in this field for like the past 3, 4 years at this point. I know you mentioned a little bit of my career trajectory at the beginning, where I started out as a marketing science partner. I was mostly working with entertainment clients to help them understand campaign performance on our platform, and in particular, I saw the brands and the studios that used AR see the most success when it comes to performance on our platform, and so that's when I started to get a little bit more experience with what AR is, why is it working so well, and for me as a consumer, I found it to be an extremely fun experience. So that's why I've been diving head deep into the topic.
What about the future? Can I ask, how do you see this technology evolving in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I talked to this a little bit, but there is a lot of convergence of a variety of different technologies that I believe will happen over the next few years or so, especially with generative AI. There's the computer vision portion, and there's also the hardware that is going to come into play in terms of being able to create much more seamless experiences. So our team's been working on spectacles for many years now. We debuted a developer-only version of it last year, where you're able to actually have these live AR experiences through sunglass like experience. You're able to interact with a new type of OS with just your fingers and your hands, and you're able to overlay additional information and images on top of what you're already seeing. I see a world where you might be able to get live information about different restaurants that are near you, or if you're a big cycler, you might be able to get a GPS that you don't need to look up or look into your phone for. There's a lot of different types of experiences that can be enabled that provides additional augmentation to your everyday experiences or your hobbies. So I'm super excited about that possibility.
That's fantastic. I can wait for that, for all of those things to be available for everyone and for me to experience.
The
Tak,
future is
thank you so
close.
much for this. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
your time, for teaching me and everyone so much about this technology. You know, market research and the insights industry and everyone else can like use it for their campaigns and just do something different than the usual like plain campaigns. So thank you so much.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Thank you for having me. And I truly do believe that AR is a different way for brands to be able to provide some valuable contributions to the world, not just to their bottom line, but provide some additional meaning into our consumers' lives.